Hey, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in to today's Faithfully Her. I am your girl, Liana Michelle, and I have on with me today a very special guest by the name of Mrs. Essence Coates. Now, Essence is the founder of the private membership course called Trading in Color, which offers technical analysis strategies to help develop and improve new and seasoned traders. Essence has over 10 years of working in the corporate setting until her calling and her passion led her to developing her own mentor membership course. Her passion now allows her to help people in the community change their financial futures. So please, everybody, help me welcome Mrs. Essence Coates.
Thank you. I love it. Thank you for having me.
I love my little clap track.
I love it. It's awesome. I love it.
Well, again, publicly, thank you again for taking the time. I know that you are doing so many things, so I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about trading and your business. Trading is such a big phenomenon that's going on right now. You know, before you had to call E.F. Hutton or your stock person to get any type of trading done, but now it's just it's on your phone. It's at the push of a button. So let's jump right into Trading in Color. And how did you develop your company?
Yeah. So I will start off by saying God is absolutely good, because, for a very, very, very long time, I was always in the corporate setting of trying to be pushed into a leadership role. And it just I always wanted to be the leader that didn't have the title. Let me just have the role. I don't really want the title of the leader, because when I show up every day and I'm giving back, that is leadership. But when you put a title on it, you're making it a thing. And I didn't want it to be, because the thing is myself as a leader, if I don't believe in something, I'm going to have trouble getting other people to believe it as well. And that's the thing about leadership is you have two sets of groups. You have to be a team with the leaders that there are, and then there's a team of the actual people, right? So you have managers and leaders, and I always say, leaders lead the people. Managing is managing whatever it is that needs to be managed. And it just never felt right in my spirit. And I remember that I would always, in every single interview I've ever been in, I would always say to them, like, I just see myself in a room full of people, like leading in that way, but I'm not working for, I won't say necessarily, I'll always say, like, I can't say that it's your company. I hope that I can get that from your company, but I can't say that that's what it is. So every single time a leadership role would come to me, it did not, I would always say, I would literally already be doing the role. They just wanted to give me the title. And I go, no, because I get to do this the way that I want to do it this way. But when you put it on there, there's rules and things that come with that. And that's not what leadership is for me, right? And so fast forward, being in corporate, I made really, really great money. But it got to the point where in corporate, you just constantly climbing this ladder of more money, more money, more responsibility, but less time. And, I have kids and my oldest daughter is 12. But when I had originally got into sales and everything like that in the corporate industry, yeah, you have the money. Yeah, you can take them to do X, Y, and Z, but like the time was just not there. And so I wasn't having the emotional security. I guess that's what I'm looking for. It wasn't about the financial security. It was the psychological and emotional security. I did not have that. And so I immediately learned that money wasn't everything. Now, what I wanted was freedom. I just wanted the freedom to be able to be a mom. And that was before my son came along. So fast forward, after all these years in corporate, when I was about 22, 23 years old, I was making six figures and I blew it. Can't tell you a single thing that I did with the money. And I remember saying to God, if you ever put me in that position again, like, God, I just need you to show me what to do with the money. Like, I can't look up and not know. The only thing I remember that I did with that money at that time is I took my daughter to Disney World, literally surprised her. She had no idea we were going. But that was it. I couldn't tell you. I mean, I had my own place and stuff like that. Yeah, I paid bills, but I had nothing to show for the money that I was actually making until it was gone. And then I was like, well, what am I doing with my money? So, fast forward, I got out of sales and I went behind the scenes in the mortgage industry is what I was in. I was in the mortgage industry for a while. So I was the person, I didn't help you find the house because people always think that's what I did. No, I was the person that gave you the money to buy the home, right? And then once you bought the home, if you needed to refinance and things like that. So I was a loan officer. And that's why like conversations like these are like so organic for me. Like it's, and even in sales, it's about educating them into a decision. It wasn't a sale for me. It was about, here's the education. What do you think is best? Right.
Yeah.
And for me, again, I was climbing the ladder, right? And these companies are making millions and millions of dollars off of me, and I'm making pennies on the pennies in comparison to what they're making, right? And I went behind the scenes, and I remember like even behind the scenes, I was no longer selling, thank God. I had got off the phone, I wasn't communicating with the public. And to be 100% honest, it was never about selling to the people. Was all the statistics that happens when you got off the call. Oh, did you hit this number? Did you hit that number? Did you hit this measurement? Did you talk about this? Did you? And I'm just like, I don't want to do that because I don't like to feel like I'm being sold. So I don't want to be like selling people. I didn't, and I did well. I stayed at the top without selling people, right? But to take it to the next level, they want you to kick it, and it's like, no, I don't want to do that. So that's the reason why I went behind the scenes. But during that time, I made the same amount of money behind the scenes. And I remember one day, I don't know if you ever heard of Clubhouse, but it was like a little, at the time, it was just Clubhouse was like a rumor. It wasn't like a really big deal. So you had to like know somebody to get into Clubhouse. And I remember when I applied my application, if you will, to get into the Clubhouse, it wasn't even, most people were like, yeah, there's like, you were on the waiting list for like weeks, months. And I applied, and 30 minutes later I was in. I'm like, I don't think it's what y'all said it was. Like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't even know who the person was that had approved me to get in. Once I did, I discovered she was someone I had helped maybe 6 or 7 years ago repair her credit and buy a home. Like I hadn't talked to her in years. But I was sitting in a room of people talking about trading. And there was this lady, I accidentally bumped her in the call. You can like bump people and go in a private room. And I remember like hanging up like, oh my God, I didn't mean to do that. And so after the call ended, the girl called me back. She's like, hey, like, it looks like you went into a private room with me, blah, blah, blah. And long story short, she ended up introducing me into trading. And then when I got into trading, and this is the honest to God truth, when I first got into trading, what happens in that type of industry is you get caught up in things like academies where it creates MLM or multi-level marketing groups where it's like, hey, bring your auntie, your cousin. And unfortunately, it's mostly people of color that are doing it, right? But they don't even understand the skill. Because these multi-level marketing companies, at the top, there's a non-person of color, white, at the top, and then all the minions, as I call them, that are beneath them in the pyramid, if you will, are just people of color that are just like, hey, bring this person in, bring this person in. And ironically, I had been hearing about trading just didn't know it was trading. I had been hearing about this particular thing since 2014, but nobody could ever explain it to me. And it was always people that looked like me that had no damn clue on what they were actually doing. It was just like, hey, you should check this out. And they'll be like, hey, let me show you how to turn a penny into $6. And it's like, I make 6 figures. What the hell am I gonna do with turning a penny into, and you can't even tell me how to turn that penny into, you can't tell me anything about it. And that's why when I got into the academy, I quickly realized like, no, this is a pit for people of color so that the man above can keep making money because no one in here is actually learning the skill. They would create these programs that were reliant, where the trader would have to be reliant on the programs and you keep paying, right? You would just have to keep paying. But the more people you brought in, the less you had to pay, almost making yourself free, right? It's a pyramid. And let me just say, multi-level marketing, there are people that go to school and actually do really well in multi-level marketing. A friend of mine, he owns a nutrition club. It's a multi-level marketing group, but he is the product. He understands nutrition. He can tell you every single thing. He's lost 100 pounds. He's the product. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There weren't a lot of people in the academy that could actually trade. There were just people that knew how to do what we call building, meaning bring your mom, your auntie, your cousin in, right? So, God just kind of gave me this clarity when I went in there. Like I was just immediately able to pick up. When you're in sales, you're able to, especially if you're good at it, you can pick up on BS in no time anyway. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, none of you guys, and I called it out. Even the girl that brought me in, I was like, you guys don't know how to trade. Like this is like, do you realize that okay, so let's say this guy, the guy that runs the company, decides tomorrow he doesn't want to do the business. Now you don't tell everybody to quit their job and go build more people to come up underneath them. Now you've destroyed all of these relationships because these people are quitting their jobs to come to be here. Mind you, they're making money, don't get me wrong, right? But they're making money off of bringing other people in. It's kind of like the blind leading the blind. Nobody actually knows what's going on. You're just using programs that tell you to press a button and that's how you make money. But if the platform didn't exist, you don't know how to do anything, right? It's a handicap, if that makes sense. It was a handicap. And I was like, and to this day, they always come back to me. My famous words where everybody knows is I would always say, I'm going to be a master trader, whether it's here or I don't know where it's going to be, but I'm going to be a master trader. Somebody's going to teach me how to trade or I'm getting out of here. That's kind of like how it was. And I ended up building a phenomenal relationships that are actually now a part of my platform, that I got out of there. And I remember saying to them, like, assume I know nothing. I just want to be a sponge. And I was watching people, I kid you not, like, don't get me wrong. I was blessed $20,000-$30,000 a month in what I was doing. I was giving that up because all I wanted to do, I'm watching people make that in a day. Like I'm watching people make thousands of dollars in a day, whereas I'm busting my butt for a month to make the same thing and I'm exhausted at the end of the day. So I remember going to the corporate job I had and they were trying to push me into leadership at that time. I said, look, the only way I'll go into leadership is if I get my time back. I don't care about the money anymore. Like when I take the time divided by the money I was making, I realized I was getting cheated compared to what this skill, not the platform, but what the skill was able to do for me. Because again, there were people that were there that did know how to trade, but you couldn't get access to them. It was kind of like they were too high up. You know what I'm saying? It was the people that were below them that were bringing me in. It's like, yeah, just get on the call and listen to them talk. And it's like, okay, I have a question, but they can't answer my question because there's no questions allowed. So how am I, you know what I'm saying? It was very sketch, right? So I ended up leaving. I only got to about like what we call like a win rate of like 50 to 60% of the time I was winning my trades. And I said, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I tell my students this all the time. I lost $15,000 and I know that it was nothing but God that made me stay, because I was like, okay, I'm losing the money, but I still see the vision. Like I can see Warren Buffett lost millions and billions of dollars, and I'm crying about, to some people, it's relative, right? $15,000, depending on how much money you got, that could be a lot of money. It was, because I had, work started to slow down. So $15,000, it could have been very discouraging for me to say, you know what, maybe I heard God wrong. God told me this was my calling. Maybe I was eavesdropping and I wasn't listening correctly. So I stated it anyway. I still saw the vision that I knew that I could be financially free. And it wasn't even about the freedom of the money, because I was used to money, right? It was being able to have my time back and being able to give that back to people of color, because I'm watching how my people are in this pit of hell, just running. It was like a hamster on a wheel. I mean, it was really a joke, to be 100% honest. So I left the academy after about 90 days. There were people that have been there for 2.5 years and still weren't able to trade without the platform. And I'm like, if it's supposed to be in an academy, like any school, you graduate and then you get new students. Why is it that you guys still don't know what the hell is going on after 2.5 years? I don't understand, So after 90 days, I left and I met a gentleman a black guy who, he works for a hedge fund. He was a hedge fund manager for like a company, moves trades like millions of dollars a day, not for himself, but for other people. And he was like, I got into he was only taking maybe 10 or 12 people. And he said, look, I want you to come in here and I want you to forget everything you think you know. And I'm going to teach you how to trade. I said, okay. And in perspective, it was to keep the basics of what I knew, right? Because what he did not teach were the basics. So I thank God for the academy that I was at, because some people were so focused on bringing their mama, their auntie, and their cousins because you would get residual income if you brought people in, right? But it was like a couple of holes in it. The more people you were bringing in, the more people were falling out because they didn't actually know what was going. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't, what can you, and I would always tell them, I'm not bringing anybody in here until I can teach them what I know. Yeah. Until I can understand it, right? You got a bunch of people who didn't understand anything, just bringing people in. Meanwhile, the material is on the platform, but nobody's paying attention to the material that's on the platform. I was the opposite. I'm paying y'all. I want the information that's on the platform. Selling to me is easy. I've been doing that my life. But that, for me, financial freedom wasn't to sell. That was an opportunity to be able to give back. And building was built in a way of selling people into this opportunity. I'm like, I don't want to do that. So after I left and I went to him, he said, forget everything you think you know. I'm going to teach you how to trade. And literally the game completely changed for me. And I went from 50 to 60% to winning 80 to 90% of my trades. And I remember in September, I went to Spain, and, on Instagram, I'm known as what's called Black Girls Trade 2 is the name of that's my name on Instagram. And on my way to Spain, it's a 9-hour flight. And I kid you not, it was nothing but God. I got a message from somebody that said, hey, Essence, like, can you teach me how to trade? And I was like, no, like, not right now. Maybe 6 or 7 months from now. I really just want to enjoy my trip. 2-3 hours later, somebody else, hey, Essence, like, I've been watching you for a while. Like, can you teach me how to trade? And I'm like, no, I don't know what's in the water, because none of these people know each other that are reaching out to me. I'm like, I don't know what's in the water right now. Now, don't get me wrong. I did want to mentor, but I had just got out of mentorship myself 60 days ago. So I wasn't ready. I wanted to just go independent by myself for a while. It was the third person that had messaged me on the way to Spain. He said, Essence, I just got laid off from my job, and he was in the mortgage industry. And I know in God's timing, when I left the mortgage industry, it was no longer $20,000, $30,000 a month. You'd be lucky if you were bringing, $1,000 to $2,000 a month. And for some people, that's great, right? But in relativity to what you were used to,
Right.
it wasn't anything. When I left corporate, I happened to leave right at the right time. It wasn't until they started laying people off maybe 6 or 7 months after I was already in the realm of the trading industry at that time. And he said, Essence, I just got laid off. I got to make money. Like, can you please teach me the skill? And I said, I'm not ready. And his exact words were, it's like, well, what if God says you are ready? And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'm trying to get the spank verbatim. I'm trying to get the Spain to enjoy my trip. Why don't you let me do that? And then when I get back, I'll talk to God about whether or not this is something that I should be doing. And everybody in my class knows the story. I got back home and I sat at my computer, kid you not, at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I said, God, like, it's one thing to trade, but to be able to educate people on how to trade, that could be challenging. How do you get people to replicate what I know? Like, I'm not going to lie to you, I had spent the way that they would teach it. I mean, non-people of color, the reason why people of color are so behind on learning how to trade is because of the jargon, the terminology that they use. They overcomplicate the words, right? Well, I used to walk past CNN and see those lines and those points and everything dropping. And you'd be like, that's for white people. I was guilty of it. Did it all the time. That's a white people thing. But then when I started learning that, wait a minute, you ain't really saying nothing. You're just using big words to make it sound intimidating, which is the reason why, what they say about people of color. If you want them to, not know something, put it in the book. If you want to hide something from, put it in the book. Right. And so for us to really understand the information, what I did is I said, God, I need to break this down in simple layman's terms. I got to make it so that people understand like what's actually going on, because the reality is that trading is not hard. It's not hard at all. It's not. The hardest part about it is the psychology, overcoming things like greed, fear of missing out, things that we were embedded in us as a culture of people in general, right? We get money and we go and spend it on things that are unnecessary, shoes, purses. For me, I want to have that money to buy experiences. I want my kids to be able to see the entire world. You know what I'm saying? Like, besides my house and my car, I will go and get some shoes from Walmart in a heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? Or we go out to eat sometimes and I'll be like, I don't like it. Like, take it back. And they'll be like, but I don't care how much money I make. I'm not giving it away to nobody. Like, I'm just not going to do it. It's just not going to happen. The idea was to have the money to create more opportunities for more money, not for me just to be giving it away because I have it. Right. Which is what I used to do because I didn't know any better. Yeah. I have a friend of mine, Chanel this, Chanel that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why? Because then when you're down, it's like those things that you have, you think that they're assets. They're not. They're depleting. They're depreciating, which means the value of them goes down. And then God forbid something happens. Now you selling all your Chanel bags and all your shoes. When in reality, I could have shown you how to take that 200 and turn it into $3,000 in maybe a day or two. But instead, you took that money and you went and bought 6 Yeezys and 5 Chanel bags for an image. And it's like, I don't care about that. I'm in my robe and my house shoes 90% of the day. I pop out when it's necessary. Like, I don't care about what I look like to other people. I care about what my future looks like for me and my kids. And that's just that on that. So I literally sat down at 10 o'clock that morning and I said, God, I need you to, if this is what I'm supposed to be doing, like, help me with this course. By 7 o'clock that night, I had built out a 12-week course. Right. Wow. And I was like, I don't know where that came from. At the time I was engaged, and I said to my fiance, I said, I started crying. I was like, I said, but now I just got to know if it worked. Right. I don't know if it works. I just created it, but I don't know if it works. So I reached out to the 3 people that were bothering me on my way to Spain. And I said, hey, look, I built out this 12-week course. And all it was at the time was just like what do you call it? Like in the front of a book, like maybe like an outline or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I said, look, we can do this together. I'm planning this out as I go, but I need y'all to just rock with me. By the end of my class, that one guy, the third one that had called me, he had went from, maybe $10 a day, $15 a day to $1,000 a day to his biggest day he had ever in front of my class was like a $12,000 day. And this was a guy that had never seen a chart a day in his life. Never seen a chart a day in his life. No one ever broke it down to me the way that I broke it down to them, because how else do these academies make money if they make it easy, right? They have to overcomplicate it so that you think that it's you. Right. But for me, it was about, okay, how many people, like Harriet Tubman is me. I breathe Harriet Tubman. And for me, it was always about like, and I tell them all the time, like, if Harriet Tubman can do what she did, why can't you learn how to trade? You mean to tell me that because there's obstacles there, I got kids and I got this. Okay, well, your kids ain't gonna stop getting on your nerves. You're not gonna want to stop killing your husband. Your job, you hate it. You're gonna always hate it. Been there, done that. None of those things are gonna change. So if not now, when? Right? If not now, then when are you gonna do it? Because all of those things that you want to change are not gonna change until you do. You have to, they always say go with the thing that scares you the most. Trading scared the hell out of me. So much that I lost a finger in the beginning while I was learning, right? But there was something that God said to me, like, no, those were the lessons that I had to learn. Because trading, the thing that I love so much about trading, I am an Aries. My birthday is April 17th. I'm an Aries.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. We get bored easy, okay? It don't take a whole lot. Any role I've ever been in, I'm like, okay, what now? All right, I learned that now, what now? Okay, but with trading is so much like real life. You will always be a student to the game. You'll always be a student, right? And I tell them sometimes the reason why people struggle with trading is because they struggle in real life, right? If you keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again, okay, they're mistakes because you didn't learn from them, right? When I lost that $15,000, yep, they were losses. You know why? Because I didn't learn a damn thing from either one. I was just like, dang, all right, let's go in there again. Like it was a casino. You know what I'm saying? Without actually studying what it is that I did wrong so that I don't make those mistakes again. But knowing what I know now, I went back and got every penny, every single penny that I lost, I went back and I got it. And then for me, it was about reaching out. So when I ended that first trial class or beta class, I remember like going like, oh my God, like I started crying. I was like, oh my God, we know that it works. Like we know that the 12-week course works. We have to run it again. And so the next class was huge. I couldn't even, and that's the thing too, like when I do my consultations, I don't take everybody because some people look at it as like a get rich quick and it's like, nope, that's not what this is. You have to be very open to changing the way you see money and changing the way that you see things in general. And one of the things I always talk about is a support and a sacrifice. You can't come to my class unless you have a good support system, meaning like, I'm not saying everybody got to have it together, right? But what I'm saying is that there were times when my fiance was like, well, how was your day? I said, well, that's how I would answer. Like, well, he didn't know I was blowing thousands of dollars a day. I just couldn't do it, right? But he trusted me enough to know that I was going to get it. And so there were days where I'm stressed, so maybe he'll take the kids out of the house so that I could just study, because I was studying 50, 60 hours a week, right? This guy was making $12,000 maybe 90 days into my course. It took me 8-9 months because of the way that the education was given to me, for me to be able, and that's the thing about teaching is learning also. I thank God that they had asked me to teach them how to trade, because there were things that I was teaching them that I was seeing for the first time in the middle of me teaching it. But to them, they're like, oh my God, like, that is so dope. Like I had no idea. And I'm like, meanwhile, I'm like, I ain't never seen that before either. It's the first time I've seen it during the class, but thank God for teaching, because it's learning. Right. You know what I'm saying? You're learning as you teach. And so like this, now I'm getting ready to go into our third class right now, which is I needed the thing that I did wrong the last time. And a part of being a leader is always looking back to see, obviously, what can I have done differently, right? One is having an assistant, which is my assistant. She's a virtual assistant. She lives in Jamaica. And I hired her. And because between my first class and my next class, I took a weekend off and I went to Pompano Beach. But I was probably off maybe 6 hours because I sent her a proposal to see if she would be my assistant. She said yes, but now I got to teach her how to do her job before class starts on Monday. So there was no break in between the first and the second class. So we made sure that my schedule this time gave me a breather to be able to breathe, and making sure we're getting the right type of people, which, don't get me wrong, my students are amazing. Like just their, and that's what they always say to me too. Not everybody in my classes make money, right? But they all have the self-accountability to know that, no, the sauce and the resources there. I just wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing as a mentee. Like she gave us the information, but they're growing in areas of confidence, right? Because a lot of trading is just confidence. Like we can all place the same trade. I may put $10 on it. Well, maybe they only put $1. So maybe they made 150, maybe I made 15 grand. But the difference between that was just a confidence thing. That was it. Had nothing to do with the skill. It had everything to do with the confidence. So just changing things psychologically in general, the way that we maneuver, the way that we communicate with each other, and the stuff that we speak out of our mouths. Like when I'm having a bad day or I'm having a bad week, I immediately go to my leaders and I'm like, I can't do it today. Like I need somebody to go drop a word to the group, but it ain't gonna come from me, because today I'm about ready to take everybody's head off. And it ain't got nothing to do with trading the color. It's got everything to do with life outside of here. And when it's like that, that's okay. You just don't want to bring that energy to your team.
Right.
This class I had, when I tell you life was life on every last one of them, I'm talking about, I got a truck driver, I got an engineer, I got a nurse, I got a lady that said, I don't want to be a nurse no more, I'll just go work for Progressive. I got, a lady who was trying to buy a home and she didn't want to go back to work, but she had to in order to, like, there was just so much. My MVP though, the one that I decided to make my MVP was because not only was she facing the biggest adversity, her sister, her best friend, her life, her everything was literally like on the operating table unexpectedly in a 3-hour life or death surgery. And she would be sitting in class like nothing was going on, like nothing was going on. The way, and then her ability, when someone would ask a question, she'd be like, I'm not sure if I'm right, but maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Like her ability to give back and be open. Because the thing is, like I said, we're all going through something, right? But if not now, when? You think that life is going to stop lifing? No, it's not. It's not. We're just going to continue to keep making excuses. That's all. You either going to do it or you're not. And I have people in my class that are my friends, and I tell them, like, I'm not going to treat you any different than anybody else. Like, the information is there. You haven't done anything the entire class. Just because we're friends, I'm not. If when you call me, we're not talking about trading. No, because you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to, don't take advantage of the fact that that we're friends. No, I put a lot of time, money, effort into my course, into what it is. This is my passion. This isn't just a job, right? I always tell them it's passion over paychecks for me. Been there, done the paycheck thing. Like, I don't care about that. It's how can I give back to my people, like Harriet Tubman did. She didn't just get the freedom. She went back and she grabbed other people to bring them the freedom too.
Amen.
And that's why I always tell them, like, ain't nothing you can tell me about lifing on you. Come on now. Like, I've been there, done that. Yep. I lost a brother in the middle of, you know what I'm saying, that got killed in the middle of when I was in a corporate in a competition for something. Like, I've seen it, I've done it, I've overcome it. And if you truly believe in God and believe in yourself and believe in trading in color, else you wouldn't be here. You have to believe that much in yourself as well, and like stop making excuses. Like, I'm not really big on excuses. Is either you want it or you don't. It's not a, and trading in color has been far bigger than what I was even trying to make it. I just wanted to teach people how to trade. But when I had my very first live event and everybody came together, like, I cried after, not in front of them, because my class is virtual, right? Most of them I had never met in real life. Unless I was at a networking event. A couple of them I met out networking. But when they all came together for the event, I think I sent you a few photos actually of the event that we had. I had like 9 girls and like 6 guys in the class. Their ability just to show up for themselves, because some of them are dealing with really heavy depression. I ain't got no degree in managing depression. All I know is that, I could be a good support system, right? Support and sacrifice. What did you you have to know what you're sacrificing before you get here. We can't be halfway through the course and you're like, you know what, like, this isn't working because I got to be able to watch my shows and my basketball game or whatever, right? And I tell them all the time, sacrifices doesn't have to be monetary. I love reality TV. I love going out with my friends and drinking. I love going out and doing stuff like that. But that was a sacrifice that I had to make in order for me to be where I am right now, to be able to do what I want to do whenever it is that I want to do it.
Right.
But, it's definitely, I'm sorry, I've been babbling. You didn't get a chance to ask me no questions.
No, it's fine, because that's what I wanted to know, like, just that journey, what brought you into it, and just hearing you talk about it, you can feel your passion for what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think in anything that we're doing, especially when you're doing your own independent business, you have to have that type of a passion and that type of drive that keeps propelling you to move forward. So even, you're talking about the loss that you took with the 15 and, losing that big, most people would have been like, forget it, throw in the towel. I can't keep doing this. But you're a fighter. You got back up and you brushed your shoulders off and you came right back into the ring. You know what I'm saying? You didn't give up on yourself or what God has put in you to do.
God, nothing but the blood. Let me tell you. That was nothing but God. It had to be. Looking back on it, I say all the time, like, when I look back on it, I'm like, how the hell did I ever get past that $15,000 loss? Because, I mean, it wasn't at one time, right? It was like, damn, $2,000 a day. Ooh, Jesus, $1,500 tomorrow. Girl, what are you doing? Like, were you even listening? I don't think God was talking to you. Go back to corporate. Like, I literally would have days like that. But it would be like, no, God would be like, no, 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 no. Because believe it or not, before I left corporate, let me tell you how good God is. I have been trying to get what was called a DE, which is a direct endorsement certification from the government, which allows you to underwrite loans for the government, right? I have been in other companies. Oh, you got to be here for 3-4 years, blah, blah. But this one particular company, I have been there 6 months and they applied for mine immediately, right? Right before, this is a story for another day, but right before the fall, God put me in a position to be the most uncomfortable in a place that I felt safest, but not before I got my DE, because my DE was secure that no matter where I go, I could open up 6-figure doors no matter where I went, right? But God needed it to happen in a place that I felt safest to get real uncomfortable. Growth only comes from being uncomfortable. I had to get real uncomfortable. I mean, that was a very dark time as I was entering into trading, which what I didn't realize then that I know now is that trading had nothing to do with skill. It had everything to do with psychology. And me getting into it when I was losing that money was because all the things that I was dealing with as I was leaving corporate as a Black woman and having to face, what's her name? The lady that just got sworn in to be Black Supreme. She's the first Black Supreme Court Justice. I cannot pronounce her name. Okay, her. I remember watching the way those white men tried to tear her down. That is almost to the T what happened to me in corporate. I'm talking like people that I had way more certifications, way more knowledge, way more, just like she did. Her background, she could have done circles around every single person that was in that Supreme Court floor. It was just the fact that they were intimidated by a Black woman being you know what I'm saying? That's exactly what happened to me in a place that I felt safest. And I remember when that moment happened for her, I cried when I can't even think of the Black guy's name that started speaking, because it was literally like it was me sitting in that room and he was talking to me, because he started talking about Harriet Tubman. And I started cracking up because all I ever talk about is Harriet Tubman to everybody, in her fight and her will to be able to see how we are her wildest dream. Like, this is all she ever wanted for us. And he was basically letting her know, like, I don't care what anybody in this room is saying to you. Like, where you are right now, I support you. Like, and I want you. And I remember that's when she started crying. The famous scene of where she was crying was when the Black guy was speaking to her to let her know, like, ignore what they're talking about. Like I see you, and I want you to know that I see you, and that this is your moment. This is intimidation. This is what intimidation looks like. They're trying to intimidate you. You have a place here. And although God was trying to let me know your place ain't in corporate, no matter how well I did, no matter how big my name was in corporate, that ain't where God wanted me. And so that vision that I have been seeing over the last 10 or 12 years of being in a room full of people, leading a room full of people, it was never in corporate. That's the reason why I can never get that feeling of, this is it. I'm like, this ain't it, actually. Let me just chill. I don't want the title. I'll just do what I do. If y'all need me, I got you, but I don't want your titles. God was preparing me for trading in color. And I have been in sales for a really long time. So when I do my consultations, I'm not selling, I'm offering you an opportunity. But the consultation ain't just for them, it's for me too. Are you a good fit for trading in color? Are you prepared to change the way that you see things? Right? Are you prepared to change? Are you ready to sacrifice something? Are you willing to give up the time that you are spent? We call it IPAs, income producing activities. I mean, unless it's with my kids, I am trying to do an IPA at all times. Like, and if that just means studying my trades, if that just means looking into options trading, because that's something I'm trying to bring over to trading in color. Like, I'm always trying to do something that is income producing in some kind of way. But when I get up at beginning of the morning, if I don't want to trade, I don't have to. But I don't have to ask somebody for 2 weeks off either if I want to go take my kids somewhere and do something. And even in my consultations, I tell them all the time, like, why do you want to trade? And money is not an option. You can't use that as the answer. Like, I've seen money. What else do you have? Like, because if you come in here looking for the money, you're going to miss the skill. And then when you're not making the money, you're going to blame it on our platform when we know that the platform works. Because people like to look for things to blame other than themselves, right? No, I need you. No, what else besides the money? The money is the obvious part. What other reason are you here for? Why do you want to be here? Why do you want to learn how to trade? This one guy on my social media, I had posted a question and I said, why aren't you guys trading? It's always the white people in my response. Oh, because you have to stare at charts all day. And I said respectfully, and it was the way he said it. There's a reason why I responded the way that I did. I said, well, respectfully, if I stare at a chart all day, it's because I want to. You stare at a computer because your boss told you to. That would be the difference between what I'm doing and what you're doing. Somebody else, oh, it's kind of like you're gambling. Well, you put money into your 401k all the time and you don't even know where it's going. How about you've been gambling? Don't say what the difference between me and you is. I know where that money went, how it got there, how to mark up. Like, I know I've managed my own 401k. I can manage my own retirement. Instead of asking me, I tell them all the time, you're asking the right people the wrong questions. Why don't you go ask the guy at Fidelity that's managing your 401k, why is he retiring at 42 and have you retiring at 67? Go ask him that. Ask him what, because as long as you work until you're 67, he can retire at 45. But instead, you telling me that what I'm doing is gambling. No, it's not. You're gambling.
So
you know.
For your new traders,
Mm-hmm.
so like with me, I don't know too much about trading or whatever, but I do have my few little Bitcoins that I'm investing in, through the different apps.
Mm-hmm.
So you have your Robinhood app, you have your Acorns, and then even through Cash App now, you can start doing those type of things. And the stock market, I'm gonna be honest with you, I've always wanted to own stock. Even like I could just remember in my 20s me saying I want to own a piece of the rock. You know what I'm saying? Like I wanted to own that stock.
Right. No, I get it.
But never knew or understood how the stock market went, how to get into it, thinking that you had to be this rich person or it was the white man's game. You know what I'm saying? So now
100%.
understanding it. So when these apps came out, it made it so much easier. And you have a stock that's $1,000 a share, but I could buy in at $5. Like, hey, I'll take that. So for somebody that's like me, that's always wanted to do it, but has no knowledge as to really what we're doing, what would be like the first point or the first bit of information that you would offer to a new person walking into it?
So I'll start off by saying this. So like the really cool thing about me teaching technical analysis is that it's transferable to any type of investment platform. And what I mean by that is I teach my students on the foreign exchange market. And there used to be this thing, Black people mostly gave Forex a bad name. And it had a lot to do with the multi-level marketing piece of it, right? But Forex has actually been around over 800 years. The stock market is only over 400 years old. It's not even as old as the foreign exchange market. The foreign exchange in short Forex stands for foreign exchange. So, like when you go to Jamaica, you can't use United States dollars. You got to give them your United States dollars. In exchange, they give you what the value is of that in Jamaican dollars. Okay. That's what I actually teach. I teach the strategy on that particular platform, right? You would literally take that technical, because I'm a technical analyst. A lot of people are what we call fundamental. Fundamental means, I'm reading the news and it looks like such and such is probably a good time to buy. I'm not a fundamentalist. I'm a technical analyst, meaning I use shapes and patterns and because it's not that history repeats itself, people do. Because the market is nothing more than how people react to money. That's all it is. So when we try to overcomplicate it is when we go, you know what, actually I'm good. I don't want to do this. This is too much. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to stocks and things like that, I do personally invest in stocks. However, I make more money on the foreign exchange market because in stocks, you have to own something. So let's say like Apple is $100, right? And you purchase 2-3 Apple shares. So now you got $300 right now, right? The only way that $300 is going to grow is if the value of that company goes up, right? But if the value of that company goes down, well, you're going down with it. That's how that works. In the foreign exchange market, you don't own jack squat, okay? So I trade, for instance, I say, I'm just going to give you one of the random things that I trade, like it's called a currency. The United States dollars compared to the Japanese yen, right? I don't own Japanese yen, never even seen a Japanese yen in my life. Like if I Google it, that would be the first time right now. If I Google what a yen looked like, I couldn't tell you if I seen it, right? I don't have to own the Japanese yen. Hell, I don't even have to own the United States dollar. All I'm doing is so like I said, when you go to Jamaica and you exchange it, there's a cost to do that. It's not you give them $10 and they give you $10 in Jamaican dollars. Nah, you're probably gonna get like $6 when you give them $10 in US. You probably get $6 in Jamaican dollars because the United States dollars is stronger there, but their money just doesn't go that far in Jamaica. So the cost of the difference in between what those are worth is how we make our money in the market. That's kind of like, but we don't need to own anything, right? However, I teach them that on the foreign exchange market so that they can make money regardless if they're buying or selling. We don't need for the US dollar to go up, or we don't need for the Japanese yen to go up. We just need for figure out which one is stronger than the other and sell it or buy it against the other, and we make profit of the difference, right? But that skill that they're learning, I use it in Robinhood, I use it in Fidelity, I use it on Bitcoin because I trade, I invest in Bitcoin, but I also trade Bitcoin. So to invest in it means you put the money in there, you let it sit, and you just waiting to see what's going to happen, right? Trading it means, oh, okay, well, just like a 401k or retirement, price does this all the time. It's up and down, up and down, up and down. When it's moving up and down, when I'm trading it, I'm making money when it goes up and down. Like let's say in simple numbers, I'm gonna use a pair of shoes. So the shoes right now are $10. And like Bitcoin's very what we call volatile, meaning like it can go from $10 to 100 in like 30 seconds. Like it doesn't take long, right? I teach them how to measure what that movement looks like and how to catch the difference in between it, right? In that day, in that session, within that minute. Versus you may be holding it today and you don't want to get out for 10 years. Well, you're just riding the wave. You just riding the wave with the same amount of money that you originally invested. Whereas I may get in right now, mark it up and go, oh, okay, well, Bitcoin's, I'm making these numbers up. Bitcoin's at $10. Okay, well, I see it going to $25 in the next like 15, 20 minutes. So let me throw whatever my investment is into it. And then I get out with a couple $1,000 maybe in a few hours. I do both. So I do put money in that just sits there and it literally goes from $3,000 back down to 250 and then back up to $4,000 and then back down to, because I'm investing, and on the long term, price doesn't go straight up. It doesn't.
Right.
Just like in real life, right? To go from point A to point B, you don't just get there. Got to go through hills, got to go through valleys. The market's the exact same way. It's not going to go in a straight line. So when you're investing it, you're saying, okay, I'll buy it right now at $10. It may go from $10 to 50 back down to 12, back up to 60, back down to 12, back up to 150, back down to 6. That's investing, not paying attention to it while it's riding those waves. Again, as a trader, those little movements that's happening, we're catching the dollars and we're investing within that day, or we're investing in whatever happened in those minutes or that time frame. There's different type of traders that do different type of things. But for the simplest thing, and I know this is going to probably sound simple, like, oh girl, it ain't that simple, but it is. Look at assets. When I say assets, I mean Bitcoin, Apple. It doesn't matter what it is that you're investing in, right? You buy those things when they're on sale. Price is the same way. You don't, if Bitcoin right now, I told my aunt this morning because she was asking like, girl, what's going on with Bitcoin? And I said, well, you need to wait for it to do what we call a pullback, meaning go on sale. Wait for price to go on sale, then buy it. And then when it goes up, if there's something you know what I'm saying, if you want to hold it, by all means hold it, or take it out when it's in profit. You get what I'm saying? But it's not going to go in a straight line. It's not going to go from 40,000 up to 150 and then just keep going to 200,000 without going from 200,000 back down to 80. You know what I'm saying? And every single time, look at it like a pair of shoes. Every time the shoes go on sale, you're buying them. That's why I don't go out buying Yeezys. Okay, for what? Like right. If Yeezys ain't coming back down, and I also trade what's called the Dow Jones, which I'm sure everybody heard about on CNN and stuff like that, right? The Dow Jones is basically in the foreign exchange market. It's called US 30. It's the top US 30 companies in the United States. I trade it. That's, as a student, I've been studying it for over a year. Like that's how I make the majority of my money, is I go through the Dow Jones, and I don't go in there and put money in there and just hold it. I don't do that. I go in there, I ain't kid you, I be in and out within minutes because it's very volatile. It can be, but the US 30 is your Apple, your HP, your all those top tech companies that you know of or have ever heard of. Mm-hmm. I trade them in what we call an index, meaning that I don't look for Apple. Apple is a part of the US 30. I trade US 30 in general. So if US 30 is getting ready to come down to, I'm making these numbers up, to $30, okay, well, I'm getting ready to buy in because I know it's getting ready to go up to 40 or 50. Then when it gets there, I take it out, right? And that could be with US 30, it moves so fast, that could be in an hour before it pulls back down again. So as a trader just gets in and out of the market in smaller time. Like we don't always just hold it, right?
Okay.
We're trading the ups and downs. Whereas an investor, again, is somebody that puts it there. It's a set and forget, right? You don't even notice when your Bitcoin goes down. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. You ain't even paying attention to
it. I don't.
Which it makes sense. You shouldn't.
Right. I'll get like a notification, like, hey, don't forget we're here. And I'm like, oh, shucks, let me go in there and see if I made anything. Or,
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And then I don't even look to see if I really made. I look to see at, oh, this stock is, oh, I see the price that went, oh, let me buy a couple. You know what I'm saying? And I'll just kind of invest more into it without even really looking at if I am building or making, you know, or whatever. I just continuously just invest money into it. So it might be $10 for each one every week. So $30 a week, $50 a week, or whatever is being invested in purchasing more shares.
Absolutely.
Or investing, you know, or okay, I bought, oh, and I have like $10 spare. Oh, I'm gonna just throw that on the Bitcoin.
Yep.
And you know, and then I close the apps out and I don't think about it anymore. And then here it is a week or two later. I'm like, oh, let me go back in here and throw some more money. So
absolutely.
I never really pay attention to if I'm winning or losing.
No, I get it. And you know what's so crazy is like, I remember that I'll have people that'll be like, you know, oh my God, Bitcoin just went from 60,000 all the way down to 30. I told you guys it was a scam, blah, blah. And it's like, I can tell you, I could have told you I saw that coming because I literally marked the chart up with using technical analysis to see where it was going to fall, right? Or I probably pressed the button and the sell button. When you were still buying, I was selling because I knew that it was getting ready to go down, right? That's what I teach is the technical analysis to be able to measure when something's going to go up and when it's going to go down.
Okay.
But it's used, you're able to take that skill and apply it to different platforms, right? Because not everybody wants to be in the foreign exchange market. They just know that I teach it on the foreign exchange market. But I mean, I'll be honest, everybody in my class loves the foreign exchange market. Like it's kind of a no-brainer because again, you don't need to own anything. It's just an exchange of one currency to the other. You're making the money of differences between what it costs to buy or sell those currencies. That's literally it, you know, and you're just looking at it from a, you know, crazy enough, I hated math, or when I say math, I hated math. They would always be like, like, what college did you go to? Like, what? I was a high school graduate. I did a semester in college. I left. I clocked into real life, and that is where I got my degree. It has nothing. I hate math. In fact, a lot of what I teach in my class are tools on how you can avoid the math. It will do the math for you. I don't like math. But it's, and I tell them all the time, and I mean this respectfully, not in a rude way, but like, I know dummies that trade, you know what I'm saying? And it's because it has nothing to do with skill. It has everything to do with psychology, right? Some of them know how to trade, but they get the money and then don't know what to do with it, right? Which is another thing that we're trying to teach our people. That's the reason I always ask, why are you trading, right? Yeah. Because we know the government wants a piece of everything. If I have a $32,000 trade, I better be finding somewhere to put that $32,000 because Uncle Sam gonna want his piece of that. But if I put it in somewhere else to make more money, right? One of the guy I was just telling you about, he just started a trucking business. He owns his, it's getting ready to he should be on the road by the end of next quarter. But that was, at first, it wasn't trucking for him. He just wanted to, he had lost his job, right? He just wanted to learn the way he has 3 kids, a set of twins, just a whole lot going on, right? But now he took that money and now he's opening up his own trucking business, right? So knowing what to do with that money after you've gotten it. For me, it's real estate. I want to be able to, you can't see it here, but I have a vision board like behind me where for me, it was about having, I want to purchase multi-family unit properties. That's what I want to do with my money. I want to travel. Like I'm getting ready to go out of the country at the end of this month, but all my money can't go towards traveling. Like I need to be able to replicate that money to put it somewhere else, right? And again, because we get money sometimes and we go and splurge. And then when it's gone, we're like, well, where did the money go?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter where it went. IRS wants their piece. Regardless if you know where it went or not, the IRS is going to want their piece. So it's important to know why you're trading so that you know what to do with that money once you actually get it. I don't want people going from not being used to that kind of money to having that kind of money to now you in trouble with the IRS and now you in jail because that's what comes next if you don't know what to do with it, for sure.
Right. And Uncle, like you said, Uncle Sam coming for everybody. Nobody gets a break when it comes to Uncle Sam.
Listen, I just kind of got on my assistant the other day. I said, girl, you did not process trading in color underneath this business way. I don't want these folks coming for me. I need you to fix it. You want to fix it because I have like a Black Girls Trade too. I bought that, and then I have trading in color, which is what I brand as, right? Because I didn't want people who were not females or people of color to be turned off by Black Girls Trade too. Black Girls Trade too is what they know me personally as on social media, but my business is trading in color. You won't see a single thing that has Black Girls Trade too, but trading in color at the core of what it was supposed to be about was people of color.
Yeah.
But I got a white man that's an engineer in my class that's on my last leg, where he's on his last leg, because he's missing why we're here, right? He was one of the 3 people who was like, please, 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 please teach me, right? But completely missing out of every, and honestly, he's probably the only one in my class. And it's like, because money comes and goes for them like it's water. And so that's the reason why you're not understanding why we're doing what it is that we're doing. And you think that I work for you. I don't. You know what I'm saying? Not doing the work, not showing up, not doing it, just here to take my signals. If I say buy Bitcoin or sell Bitcoin, I haven't talked to you in a week, right? But as soon as you see somebody had a $15,000 day, you're popping up in the chat out of nowhere. That's not what, I'm not a signal service. I'm here to teach my people how to be financially free so they can go and replicate what I taught them to somebody else. No, but I love it. I love what I do.
Yeah. So, how long? So your class is a 12-week course.
Mm-hmm.
Is it every day? Is it like a once a week with the Zoom? Because I know you said you're doing it, virtually. So how are you guys getting together for your classes?
So like we meet twice a week right now, like the last 2 classes, because myself, I have an educator in Thailand, I have an educator in Texas, and then my daughter's father is the other mentor and educator on my platform. And so because we have more freedom than they do, we kind of get a general consensus of what time works best, because all these people are coming from different walks of life. So it's like presidency. You can't make everybody happy. So we try to find a time that works best, but all of our content is recorded. So if they can't make it to the live class, which right now it's 2 days a week, we do 10 to 12 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's what this last class was. And then the calls are recorded. And then at nighttime, one of my educators will be doing a recap call, where basically be like, okay, if you were, because sometimes, I kid you not, these cats be at work, okay, ain't even supposed to be on the phone, be like listening on the call, and you ask them a question and they'll type and be like, I'm at work, I can't talk, but I can hear you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they can't give their full attention. So at nighttime, we do this called Dinner with Evan, which is one of my educators, where he'll literally do a Q&A at night, right? But again, the calls are recorded. Once the class has ended, because I did a live in-person icebreaker. Everybody got to meet each other. And I had a raffle, right? That was like 50% off the next class. And my students are like, well, can we take that? Because what if I want to retake the class? Because I think I want to retake. And I'm like, we're on week 6. Okay. There's 6 more weeks to go. You don't even know how you're going to feel by the time you get to the end of the 6 weeks. But I don't want to go after the end of the 6 weeks. Like, what do I have to do? And it's like, so they kind of, what we ended up doing was we took the 12-week course per class. We offer a continuing education fee that they pay every month to have access to those calls at their own pace, right? And then we have a platform where if they have questions, they can just hop in and ask a question, right? Because I'm only one person. I do have 2 other mentors, but a majority of the mentees want me to mentor them. But I cap myself at 30 hours a week. I can only take so many people, right? So that's the reason why I created that for them. I'm like, I can't take all y'all into the next class. I got to get my new class. And then y'all can just watch the videos from your class through week 1 through 12. And if you got a question, you just put it in the questions chat. Because now you have alumni, you have people you can reach out to from your previous class and you have questions and stuff like that. And then some of them will still pay a premium to do a one-on-one. They'll be like, okay, that's cool. No, but I still just want to talk to you privately. Like, I just want to, because my next class, I told them, I was like, learning and growing. I said, one of the things that made me the trader that I am is collaboration with other traders, right? Sometimes they can see things that I can't see, or I see things that they can't see. And sometimes this last class I had, they would be and it's okay. I'm saying this respectfully, it's not a bad thing, but teaching them the independence of, not relying on the educator as the only source of the resources, right? Rely on each other.
Right.
I am trading in color, but the person you're going through the class with is more tangible for you.
Yeah.
Because maybe they're picking up on things that maybe they can explain it to you in a way that maybe you missed it when I said it, right? So in my next class, I decided that instead of doing private one-on-ones, if you want private one-on-ones, you have to pay a premium for that. But instead, I'm going to be I have my classes Tuesday and Thursday, right? But then when it comes down to a private one-on-one, it won't just be one person. It'll be 3 of y'all on the call with me at once. I want you guys to start collaborating with each other, okay? Yeah. Outside of class, don't wait until, because sometimes what they'll do is like, we'll have class Tuesday and Thursday and they'll hold their questions until their one-on-one. Well, now you just wasted an entire week of waiting to ask your question. One, we have a questions box, but they're afraid sometimes they think the question is stupid. I'm like, this ain't the place. I'm telling you right now. Ain't no such thing. I know we've all heard ain't no such thing as stupid questions, but this is a safest place for what you think is a stupid question.
Yeah.
They hated me when I was in mentorship. Like when I was with the mentor he was with, when he asked for questions, they know Essence is coming with a question. I'm like, but then as soon as the call ended, who y'all messaging me? Because you're too afraid to ask the question to the man you paying. You know what I'm saying? And I tell my people all the time, ask questions. The biggest thank you can give me is to challenge me as an educator. I'm not afraid to tell you, I don't know, let's figure it out. I'm a student. I make that very clear. I'm a student that I don't have any problem being like, I don't know. I've never had that where I said, I don't know. Right. But like, I'll be like, let's figure it out. Or I don't always just I don't spoon feed the answers. I'm like, all right, well, how did you come up with the question? Right. Okay. You came up with the question. Now let's figure out how do we come up with the answer. It's not about, I'm not a, trading as perspective.
Yeah. And I like the way that you said that you break the terminology down to make it more layman terms,
absolutely,
more understanding. Because being a student myself, like even in our study groups or whatever, and I'll be the one that's like, can somebody Mickey Mouse that for me? Because I have
Mickey Mouse. I like that.
Y'all just said,
I'm gonna use that Mickey Mouse. I'm gonna Mickey Mouse it for y'all.
Mickey Mouse it for me. Bring it down to a simpler term, and then once I get that example in a more simpler Mickey Mouse term, then I'm like, oh, I knew that.
Oh yeah.
Then it clicks and it makes sense. But sometimes, when they're over your head, like you said, they make the terminology difficult. They make it hard. It's almost like it's designed to confuse you.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
It just keeps you drawn back. Because even with the test that I have to take, like, they put so many words in those questions that do not need to be there just to confuse you. Because every time you have to retake that test, that's $370 in their pocket. And they give you 8 chances to fail. You know what I'm saying? Like, they give you 8 chances. So it's like, stop putting all the words in the question that don't belong.
That don't need to be there.
Just give me the simple gist of what you're asking me, and I can give you the answer.
Because here's the thing, I either know it or I don't. You don't need to confuse me to get the answer. It's absolutely designed. It's a money thing. It's always about the money. And especially for us.
You did that. I'm so happy that you took that terminology and broke it down, because like I said, even in my studies, I've been looking for books that gives me simpler terminology. Like, okay, how can we break this down into a simple term, into simple speech, so it's not confused with all these, 15-letter words.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yep. The way I used to Google, and I'd be like, so why you say all that when all you had to just say was entry or exit or, take profit? Like, why are you calling all these fancy words? Because you want to confuse me, right? So that I don't understand. And especially for people of color, they bet on us going broke. They bet on us having bad credit. The banks literally, when I say bets, I mean like they're in the way that their algorithms are set up is for us to fail every single time. They know that and it ain't got nothing to do with us being stupid. It has everything to do with us going to get the information. Because they know that they've made it complicated enough to where we're not going to even attempt to go for it. Yeah. So, I tell people all the time, like, they'll be like, I've even had people in my class, like, your prices aren't high enough. Because in the beginning, it was promo for me, right? It was just about getting, the right people, not right people, but getting the promo, making it affordable, right? But my competition is 10, 12, 15 grand for the class. And I was charging, my first 2 classes were 600, then this class is 1,200. And I got people making that in a day. You know what I'm saying? Or making that in 2 days. Yeah, you're right. I tell them all the time, yesterday's price, not today's price. But the idea is, because if you want it enough, I'm not going to make it to where you can't reach for it, because I know you got the $1,200. I know, I've been in sales too long. People buy with emotion and justify with logic. You have the money, right? It's, is it worth it for you, right? If you look at my class as a liability instead of an investment, it's not a good place to be. This is not a bill. This ain't Comcast. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a skill set that sets you free and your kids free and your kids free. You can't put a dollar on that. You cannot put a dollar on that. That's what, like in Grosse Pointe, we call it old money. They're getting it from the market. Like, it's old money. It's been around for 800 years.
Yeah.
There's $7.6 trillion that circulates in the foreign exchange market every single day. And so when we go into the bank and we ask the bank for $50,000, they're getting it from the same market I'm teaching my class. I'm like, don't go to them and get it for 6%. Go in there and get it yourself. Go in there and get it yourself. I literally teach them how to go from being retail traders to what we call institutional traders. An institutional trader just moves money the way the banks do. That's it. It literally, it's from what is Forex, what is trading, all the way to go to the bank for what, like that's really like, what it becomes. I mean, the only time I want to go to a bank is to build credit for my business, not for, my own, because again, when I take that money from them, they're betting on me to default on it. Right. I know that they gave me the money because they're 90% sure I'm going to default.
So let me ask you a question. Someone goes through your course, they finish it, and they become, like really, really good at their trading and knowing the ups and downs and so forth. So if I'm someone that is looking for someone to help me trade, are they now equipped to help me be able to learn how to trade and trade for myself, or do the trading for me?
Are you referring to like my students, like after they finish the class?
Yeah.
What I'll say is that at the end of the 12 weeks, they go from being like, what the hell is this, to I can do this. It's not about them walking away and being master traders, right? Because like anything I've ever done in my life, I do believe in the power of saying it and it'll become that, right? It's not, you got to see it to believe it. You got to believe it to see it, and the other way around, right? So I've been telling them I was a master trader even when I was blowing 15 grand, right? I am a master trader now. When I was blowing 15 grand, I saw it. I just didn't know when the hell I was going to get it because I was blowing accounts every day, right? But I promoted one of the guys to a mentor. They will not. Here's the thing. There are platforms and there are people who will trade for you, right? But that's not what trading in color is for me. It's how can I teach you how to fish for it on your own? Because at the end of the day, that is a gamble, right? It is a gamble to have somebody else doing it for you, because if you don't understand how they derived or came up with what it is that they did, I used to see this happen in the bank all the time when I worked at Chase. I would literally watch people come in and I'm talking about a line standing outside the door going off on the damn investment advisor because they don't understand a damn thing about what's going on in the market, right? So when they see, especially older people, maybe like 60, 70, they trying to retire, okay? They don't want to watch this shit go from 3 million down to 1.5 million. They're going to be like, what the hell is going on? Where's my money? Blah, blah, blah. They don't understand that price doesn't go on a straight line. They don't get that. So they don't want to hear what the hell you talking about price going on the straight. What you talking about? I don't care. What I said, why is my money down? That's all I want to know. And how you're going to get it back.
Right.
Or when. Not even how, because if you told them how, they still wouldn't understand, right? Yeah. It's when is my money going to come back? And it's like, it don't work like that. Russia just invaded Ukraine. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's things that were, there's a lot of things that go into that. So, I even personally know people that will trade for other people. I made it an absolute no for me, because for me it was to be able to how can I replicate that, right? If we're just trading for people, how can I replicate the community to be traders? If we're just trading for other people, you know what I'm saying? Versus, you knowing how to go in there. If $50 is your goal today, or if it's $500, I want you to know how to go in there and get it, right? It's because otherwise it's like having a 401k. He's retiring at 45, you're retiring at 70. You know what I'm saying? And then there's a such thing as a bad day or a bad week, right? So I tell them all the time, any trader that tells you that they win 100% of their trades, run like hell, okay? It's not about how many trades you win. It's about, there's a difference between seeing profits and being profitable, right? So I could literally show you an example. So I have a $1,200 day, right? I have a rule. I only trade three trades a day. If I lose the first two trades, I'm done. I'm not even no third trade. Those are my rules. That's the discipline. That's the psychology, right? Whereas somebody else would be trading 10, 11, 12. They just everything they lost, they're trying to get back. And we call that revenge trading. Psychology, because everything that your ass ain't thinking about what you know. Excuse my language. I did not mean to curse on that. I apologize. You're not thinking about what I taught you. You're thinking about the fact that you just lost the money and you just pressing buttons. You done forgot everything that I taught you. That's the reason why the psychology is the most important part. It's not the skill. You know how to go in there and get it, but every single strategy is bound to fail. And I teach my students this all the time. It's how did you protect yourself? Yeah. Right? I lost $40, but I made $1,200 that day. You think I care about the $40 that I lost? No. Right? But somebody else that didn't properly protect themselves probably lost $1,200. that day. Versus it's not about winning how many trades you win, it's how do you protect yourself if you lose. I don't care about losing $40. Now, respectfully, meaning relative, right? If I was only going for $100 that day and I lost 40 and I was going for 3 trades, I'm probably done for the day. You know what I'm saying? But I have rules in place that I am a profitable trader. My other guy, he made like 6 or 7 grand in a day. But he lost like $150 on one trade. Do you think that he cares that he lost $150 on one trade if he just made 6 or 7 grand that day? No. Just like in real life, nothing's 100%. Nothing is 100%. It's, did you put the rules in place, right? He probably he lost that very first trade. He placed the next one, he won. He placed the next one, he won. He placed the next one, he won, and he was done for the day. He hit his goal and he walked away, right? Greed will succumb people. I have a lady of mine, she's 57 years old. She's been trading for about longer than me, about 3 years. We call her Birkin Bag, okay? Her name is Belkis, but we call her Birkin Bag. This lady get up, she lives in Miami. She gets up, I call her my grandma. She gets up, I kid you not, we'll make $20,000 that morning, right? So then we'll get up and be like, oh Lord, let's see if there's any money left in the market, because Belk is the one that got it all, right? She go to work. She works at a doctor's office where she, like when you go to get your female thing done, there has to be, if there's a male doctor, there has to be somebody else in the room. Okay, well, the person she's working for is a male doctor, so she's the office manager or whatever you want to call it that has to go in the room. This lady will place another trade and then go in the room where she can't have her phone to be able to monitor her trade. And then now she walk out and she lost 14 grand. She's like, oh guys, I just lost 14 grand. And it's like, but why were you trading after you made $20,000? Why were you even back in the market? Why did you do that? Psychology. That's what I mean. Like, people underestimate the psychology part because you are naturally greedy. We were born that way. Okay. If you treat it like a casino, your odds will come out like one. Right. You made $20,000 a day. Some people just wanted to make $200 a day. Right. You made $20,000 a day and you went into the market again for what? And I will say to her all the time, what is your goal? If you don't have a goal or you don't have a trading plan, psychology will win every single time. It's going to succumb you. Psychology will succumb you every single time if you don't have a plan. If my goal is $1,000 that day, I want the 1,000 and I'm done. That's it. When you try to go back in there and you treat it like a casino, well, now you done lost half of what you just made of your goal. And now what are you doing? Chasing the goal again. Right. It's like, and trading is easy. That's the hard part. I'm talking about every day. I kid you not. We call her Birkin Bag. I just went to Florida when I went to Pompano. I went to go see her because I watched this woman turn like, it must have been like $5,000. She turned it into a 6-figure account in 90 days and then turned around and went inside of Bitcoin. Now, why would you do that? And was down. And she would only share with me, like she'd be down, but she didn't care that I would share that story because I needed it. I needed for the psychology to stick because she knows that her issue ain't skill. It's psychology. Yeah. You just made 6 figures in 90 days. Why would you go back into the market, Belkis? It's because you have no goals. There is no reason why you're trading, right? Do you know this woman didn't even know how to make a withdrawal? So what is this, Monopoly money? Because I don't understand what you're doing. You didn't make this money into 6 figures in 90 days. And when I went down there, I showed her how to make a withdrawal and she took her mom to Italy. They ended up going to Italy for like 2 weeks. Oh, but I was like, if you have to trade with a plan or psychology will win every single time. Okay. That's why I keep telling them the skill easy. She's 57. She learned it. The skill ain't the hard part. It's the psychology. Get the goal and go. And how people come in like, I'm good, girl. Like, all I want is $250 a day. I said, okay. All right. Well, okay. And you get in there and be like, oh my God, girl, I was up $700. And then I was like, dang, I walked away with only 100. Yeah, because your goal was 250. You should have got out and been done for the day. But once you saw it go past 250, psychology told you to keep holding it and keep holding it. What did I just say? Price doesn't go in a straight line. It's going to go up and pull back down. It's going to go up. Once you hit your goal, you should have been done and got out. But those are the things that they don't put enough emphasis on. Okay. When they're teaching you the skill. They don't care to teach you psychology because they know that you're going to lose every time if they teach you psychology, that you'll come out on top. And how will the academy make money if you win?
So say right now I take $10 and I go into Bitcoin, right? Mm-hmm. And I do $10. If it goes up and say my goal is $250 a day. Mm-hmm. So if it goes up and it hit $250, I need to sell.
It's called close. You literally just press the close button.
Okay.
Selling, buying and selling is more like a stock thing. Like when you're holding
Okay.
it, you have to sell it in order to get it. But when you're in the foreign exchange market, if I'm buying, right, and I'm at 250 or whatever money amount you're trying to get out at, you literally just hit close and it closes the trade. You don't need to sell it to get the money back, because remember, foreign exchange market, you don't own anything.
Okay.
It's just an exchange of money. It's not a ownership. Whereas in stock, yes, if I had Apple, in order to get my money, I would have to sell my shares because I own something. I have to sell my part of what I own. You don't own jack squat in currencies, nothing. So you don't need to, if you're buying, you don't need to sell it to get the money. When you get your number, you close it. You literally just close the trade.
Okay. And then you can take that same money and reinvest it. So say
Absolutely.
tomorrow I'd say,
Absolutely.
you know what, I'm going to take this 250 and go right back into, say, a crypto or Bitcoin. And when it hits, say, 500, say that's my goal. I'm going to take this 250 and now my goal is 500. So when I see the 500, I'm going to close it back out again.
Yep.
And okay. All right.
That's to put it simply, yes.
Yeah.
Put it simply, right? That's the actual doing of it is
that's
right, Mickey Mouse, exactly. In Mickey Mouse terms, absolutely. I'm gonna use Mickey Mouse for sure. Like a Mickey Mouse. I'm gonna Mickey Mouse this for you guys. I love that so much. I love that so
much. Oh my God. And
much.
I've been saying that forever, like since my college days. Like
I love it.
Around. I've been like,
I love it.
Sir, Mickey Mouse, please.
Look, you better trademark that. Mickey Mouse it for me. Mickey Mouse it for me. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's I use a lot of I can't think of what they're called, but people would always be like, you should trademark that. It's things that I use during trading to simplify it. Like I'll be like, okay, no flag, no Fibonacci. Like a Fibonacci is like a tool that we use. Whereas most people will be like, you just grab the Fibonacci and you put it here, and people are like, well, when the hell do I use it? And I tell them, if you don't see a flag, no fib, no flag, no fib. That's kind of like how I put certain things. Like if you don't see what you're looking for, you have no business using it. But all you're looking for is this, right? So yeah, it's like I said, for me, teaching is learning, and that's where I get to grow as a trader. That very first class literally changed me as a trader. Like I was seeing things that I was never even paying attention to before when I started teaching it. In every single class, I'm like, the only thing standing between me and $1 million is discipline and consistency. And I tell them that all the time. Like I have one of my students right now who's kind of lost a little bit of confidence. And the funniest thing for me is when my traders try to give me an excuse for something. And I'll be like, that's not what happened, actually. I can look at your account and tell you what you were thinking. Psychology kind of succumbed you. That's what happened. You were chasing the market. You were, no. Because what? No. I know I can literally look at your account and tell you what it is that you're doing. And I have a student right now, I can tell that he's lost confidence. And so he keeps coming to me with different strategies that he's like, oh yeah, this guy, he makes like $50,000 a day. You know, he's been trading since the 90s. I said, if he's been trading since the 90s, he should be making $50,000 a day because he's been a student for 30 years. Okay. Like and I tell them all the time, the market is saturated with strategies and ways of getting in the market. Focus on the one. All you have to do is be consistent. I just told you every single strategy is going to fail. So why would I be hip hopping over different strategies instead of studying the one that, yeah, it's going to fail? Protect yourself in case it does. That's what you do. You don't go find another strategy that may also fail and treat it like a casino. You study, you stay disciplined, you stay consistent in what you know. And I tell them at the beginning of every class, look, this is trading in color. Everything I want you to learn, I want you to save it under trading in color. Because after you leave here, you may learn other things, and that's fine. For him, he just keep coming to me, like, well, his strategy, it works. I said it works because he does. It works because he's consistent and he's disciplined, not because his strategy is better than somebody else's.
Right.
See, I know, and my other educators know, it's because he's lost confidence in himself. Yeah. He knows doggone well that my strategy works. He's just looking for something that makes him feel like, oh, it's not him. It's you. You have to be able to take that accountability in yourself and know, like, he's been studying this strategy that he has for 30 years. If he wasn't making $50,000 a day, I'd be concerned. Or else he wouldn't even be there for you to talk. He wouldn't even be there for you to be watching his videos if he hadn't studied it. Right. And so those are other things too, is like, I'm able to read my students very well. I know when you're losing confidence, been there, done that. Okay. Loss of confidence many times. I still have days where I'll be like, girl. And then, but the crazy thing is like now when I lose a trade, 99% of the time, I know why. I had no business in the market to begin with. Psychology wasn't there. I had things going on personally. I had no business in the market, no business in the market. because what I was looking at was money instead of practicing skill. Skill tells me to wait, and I'm like, forget skill, I want the money. And then I end up doing stupid, you end up making stupid decisions, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by the psychology. Like, I'm watching him, and I'm going to be there when he comes out of it, just to remind him that, you know, there was nothing that you could tell me that I haven't already been through. I've already told you that. So don't come to me with excuses of, well, this guy, you know, his strategy, you know, it works. They all work. If you do, you have to be consistent and disciplined. And I literally sent him something today that said, there are millions of great strategies. The strategy is not what makes you profitable. It's not. The strategy is not what makes you profitable. Consistency and discipline is what makes you profitable. I taught you the skill. You lost confidence because you had a bad day. And instead of doing what I told you to do, which is remain consistent, even if you lose, you started looking to grasp confidence from everywhere that you could. And so this guy that's been trading since the 90s has now given you confidence, but he what he teaches, it's like, it's a very simple strategy. I said, okay, teach it to me. All right, when I get it down, I'm gonna let you know. Huh? Like, what? You just said that it was, and I don't even say that to him. It's just that I know what you're doing. Right. You can't, I told you to begin with, this was psychology. You can't tell me that it's out, that it has anything to do with skill. I've been in the trading game much longer than you, honey. You've been here for 30 seconds. I've seen at the academy, you know what happens? There's 15 different traders showing you 15 different ways of trading, and all of them are successful. All you need is one. All you need is one strategy. And when it fails, you need to go back to the drawing board of the same strategy, not hip hop all over different strategies.
Right.
You know, because, you know, but like I said, I'm just going to be here when he comes around and figures it out, that it has nothing to do with the strategy. It's everything to do with, you've lost confidence and now you're looking for something to hold on to. That's the thing. I can teach you skill and practice psychology, but it's up to you to do the psychology work. I can't be there to hold your hand every single time. You know what I'm saying? Right. The psychology, that's the part that is a journey for the trader. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I can't help you with that. Yeah. I can give you books to read. I can tell you to trust God. I can tell you that for me, like, there's time I get up my day starts at 4:30 in the morning every day. I start with meditating. I read, I pray, and then my minions wake up and then throw me off. And then I take them to school, you know, and then I come back and I trade, you know, but you have to have a routine. You have to be as structured as you can be. And in the days that you're not, it's okay. Just the market gonna be there.
Right.
Every day.
Right. Well, I definitely have learned a lot today. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that what the listeners and the viewers will get from this is that there is a way that we can learn how to do these things for ourselves, mm-hmm. that is not going to confuse us. Mm-hmm. That Essence has given us a blueprint and a guide throughout her course that will give you the terminology that makes sense for you, so you can understand what it is you're trading, or how you're trading, or what trading is, and mm-hmm. you know, the difference between this and the stock. And so, like, mm-hmm. she's giving you a great blueprint to help you. And we don't always have to run to E.F. Hutton
right,
or, you know, or go see the guy on the rock. Like, we don't have to go there. We can
right.
go to our own sister. We could be our people that's in this game and that's doing this game the right way, properly, to create generational wealth for you and your family. Because, mm-hmm. you know, that's what's important. That's like the key element for so many different things that's happening now. More people are talking about creating that generational wealth and building it and leaving something and legacies for their children and their children's children. And this mm-hmm. is the way that we can do that in our community. We can not only build generational wealth, but we can create funding to help build up our community, the same way Essence is saying she wants to do multifamily homes. That's a great way to build up the community, because it's going to take those eyesores away and put mm-hmm. a beautiful structure in place. It's mm-hmm. going to get people who might be homeless, or, you know, on Section 8, or, you know, you guys met Malika Wright, who works with children who are aging out of the foster care system. So they're getting funding to help move those children or those young adults now into their own housing. That'll be a great connection for what you're doing and what she's doing. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
this is all great ways where the community is being built up and being renovated one family at a time, one unit at a time. And it's people like Essence who are out here giving us that guide to help us financially so we can continue to build up our families and our communities out here. And that's so majorly important for me, because this whole platform is about that. It's about shining light on what we're doing as a people of color, business wise, and how we're taking that and giving back into building our community to make us great. You know, Trump's make us great again. Well, this makes us great. You know what I'm saying?
Rebuilding Black Wall Street.
Right.
That's what I call it.
Right. So before we get out of here, do you have any final thoughts, any final words that you want to leave with our whether we're new traders, whether we are on the fence with whether or not this is something we're interested in? Give us that final thought.
Absolutely. One of the things that I'll say is that everybody can trade. Anybody can trade. Everybody just won't. And a lot of what that has a lot to do with confidence. And like I always say, like, sometimes just making excuses. And in most cases, we're just in our own way. And what I can tell you is, I always tell people, I actually read a quote that had said, the idea isn't it. I actually reworded it to say, like, the idea isn't to live forever, is to create an opportunity that will. And, we all want something that we can kind of leave behind. Right. And if we were to die tomorrow, would you be okay with the way you left things? Would you want to live? I don't ever want to. I just had my 31st birthday on the 17th, and I said, I thank God that I was able to walk in faith so that I don't have to live in regret. And, the worst thing that you can do is to count yourself out. It's not about what other people, they always counting in multiples of whatever numbers they want to use, but it's important that you don't count yourself out. You don't need to be smart. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. My top trader barely made it through high school. It's about, doing the work. It really just comes down to doing the work. But like I said, the idea is not to live forever. It's just to create an opportunity that will. So.
Amen. And I like that. I like, excuse me. I like that because it's the ones that have gone before us that created opportunities for us to be able to be sitting here and doing what we're doing now.
Absolutely.
So I like that thought right there.
Absolutely.
So I have your IG as Black Girls Trade. Is that the number 2 or TO?
TOO.
TOO. Okay.
TOO. Black Girls Trade 2.
And your website?
I don't have a website yet, but I do have my business Instagram is trading_in_color. That's my IG on that. In order to reach me personally would be, my email address is essence@tradingincolor.com. We are trying to get a website up by probably the end of the next class, but I will say this, that my goal is that after, I probably may do this class and the next class, but after that it will be to sell my content, just for people to kind of take it at their own pace. And then if they want mentorship after that, then they would just pay a fee to have me as a mentor versus having a classroom setting all the time. Because again, it's to be able to create, wealth while you're sleeping. Go ahead.
Let me know when you do that, because my website is in the finishing stages. It's like 95% done right now.
Nice.
So one of the things that's going to be featured on my website are my guest products. Okay. So, they'll be able to see your picture, click on your link or your picture, and it'll take them to your link to be able to purchase that package or guide them into your full on. So it'll just be a way where I can always be of a support.
Absolutely. I appreciate that.
Be able to promote what my guests are doing. Like, some guests have books. I have their books up here.
I love it.
Here. You know what I'm saying? So,
absolutely. I love it.
And anything that my guests are doing, whether if you do another meet and greet or anything like that, you know, I always tell my guests, let me know. I will show up. I will set up chairs in the beginning. I will take out the trash at the end.
Where are you located right now? Where are you?
I'm in Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you like in Detroit or
Yeah.
what area are you?
Detroit
Okay, got it.
area.
Okay,
Close,
nice.
but really Taylor.
Okay.
But, you know, I say Metro Detroit area.
Okay.
But yeah, I show up and I support.
Gotcha.
I will promote everything that you're doing. I will repost it and everything else on my social media platform, and do everything I can to make sure I'm continuously helping you grow.
Absolutely.
Because what you're doing is important. Financial freedom is important. I definitely can understand what you're saying about freedom when you were at work and working and just needed, you didn't feel free. I can remember when I was working for AT&T and I had just enrolled in my master's program. And I remember just sitting there with that headset on at that desk, and I was like, Lord, my life has to be more than this. Like what am I doing? Why am I getting educated if where it's going to be? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I can remember praying and asking God, like, help me figure out where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be doing. It has to be more than this. And like 3 months later, I was I had got an opportunity, didn't even know that it existed, that led me to where I am as far as in the world of autism. You know what I'm saying? So
yes, absolutely.
He heard that prayer. He took me through some things. I had to learn some other things, but then he landed me right where I have been the happiest in my whole life, working with these babies.
That's exciting.
So, definitely, you guys just know God answers prayers. He might not come when you want him, but he is always on time.
Absolutely.
And respect the journey. Respect the journey. Respect the journey. I can't say that enough. Every pothole, every stress, every struggle is something to be learned there that's setting you up for where he wants you to be. So
100%.
Respect that process.
100%. 100%.
Okay, so we have all of your information. Everything is going to be in the description box. You will also be able to find it on my pod page. It will have the full bio with all of the contact information. And if you guys have any questions, please like, comment, and subscribe. Leave your comments down below, and I will make sure that Essence gets them. You know, if you, and again, in the description box, you'll have the email address as well as the IG information, so you'll know where to follow her at. And then you could go on directly and say, how do I enroll in your class?
Yep. And I will let you know right now, also too, we just closed our consultations on April the 15th. However, we are reopening our consultation, meaning my calendar for new mentees the 1st and 2nd week of May. And then our next class does start May 17th. So I do want to make, so right now I'm going on my vacation until the beginning of May. And then it's right back to networking and getting new students, new mentees into the door, so that we can see, you know, get as many people as we can help in this class. Because we are almost at capacity, but I have a few mentors who are still open. So I definitely want to make sure we get them in so that everyone's starting at the same time.
Well, that's great, because this show actually airs May 15th. Yeah. So it'll be right on time for your May 15th enrollment. But even between now and then, if you have any like promotions and flyer or whatever that you're putting out there, I'll make sure if you know, we'll like each other or start following each other, and I'll make sure I'll start generating those bill for you. So even before this airs, hope you can get some more.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, everybody, again, thank you so much for hanging out with us today on Faithfully Her. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. And more than that, I hope you learned something. And I hope you take that with you and proceed to move forward for what's best for you and your family and your lives, especially for your financial freedom. And just learning how to just invest. You know, investing is not always in something else. It's more about investing in yourself. So trusting that this is a good thing for you and making the investment in yourself so you can build generational wealth for your family.
Absolutely.
Okay. So as
Yeah.
always, to everybody, when you're writing the story of your life, don't let anyone else hold the pen. I love you
Love it.
all. God bless, and have a great week in Christ, everybody. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, lady. Thanks, Liana. Just
All
let me
right.
know if there's any questions you have, or reach out. You have my email.